Hello, my name is Kate Sanders with the OSU Alumni Association. Welcome to Travel Talks. And I'd like to give a special shout out to those that are sitting at home on this beautiful fall evening and choosing to join us tonight. It's gorgeous outside and you're with us tonight. So thank you very much. So, our Travel Talks program invites experts from across the university to learn about all the different places we travel. And tonight, our presentation is on Bordeaux and the Basque Country, the regions of France and Spain, with College of Agricultural Sciences Dean Staci Simonich and Professor of Enology Elizabeth Tomasino. Tomasino is an internationally recognized leader in wine chemistry and sensory analysis, and she brings deep insight into the grape varietals and wine styles that define Bordeaux. While Simonich tonight will offer perspective on the College of Agricultural Sciences and why they have chosen this great tour. So, the presentation will highlight the region's unique traditions and draw parallels between the Oregon State's own home in the Willamette Valley, which is also celebrated for its food and wine culture. But before we begin, I would like to remind you that we have one other talk this fall. It's going to be on November 4th, and it'll be with OSU Professor Emeritus Andrew Meeks, and he is going to take you on a field trip of Moab, Arches, and the Canyonlands. So if that is of interest, you'll want to register for the talk at fororegonstate.org/travel talks. And of course, all of our talks are recorded just like this one, and you will be able to view them online at the same website too. And then our schedule is on that website as well. So just a few trips, not a lot, but I always do this, just a few trips to talk about before our official talk tonight. And we're going to stick with our European region theme for tonight. So there's the Village of the Cotswolds tour in April in the heart of England. And on this tour, you'll travel through England's most scenic landscapes and villages in the countryside. And with only one hotel stay, you'll take daily excursions to explore the region. Um, if you love riverboat tours, you could travel through Netherlands and Belgium on the Dutch waterways, where you'll visit Amsterdam, Keukenhof Gardens, which is always a big hit, Antwerp, and time for you to join us in Bordeaux if you want to do back-to-back adventures. We also have tours visiting Slovenia, Croatia, and Italy on the cruise of the hidden gems of the Croatian Riviera. Trip down the Danube with lights, and on also a riverboat tour on the Elbe River and with Bohemian Wonders, and that would be through the Czech Republic. So this is just a sampling of some of the tours we offer. To see all the trips, you want to look at our travel calendar at fororegonstate.org/travel. Now on to our talk. We are going to talk about, if I can get my slide to move very slowly, the Bordeaux and the Basque Country tour. And as I said, we are honored to have both Dean of the College of Agricultural Sciences, Staci Simonich, and Professor of Enology, Elizabeth Tomasino, here with us. Some of you may remember Elizabeth from her previous travel talks on wine. They're very popular, and they're also in our recorded section if you want to go back to those. And Staci is planning to join us on this trip, as well as Elizabeth, but we just need a few more bookings to get Elizabeth on the tour. So Staci and Elizabeth, welcome to Travel Talks.
Thank you so much for having us. I'm excited about this.
Yay. So Staci, why don't you tell us a little bit about why you're looking forward to going on this trip?
Yes, well, I've been dean at OSU in the College of Agricultural Sciences. I'm in my fourth year now. In fact, I've been at OSU for 24 years. And one thing we did in the spring of 2024, we did our first dean's trip to the Netherlands, and we focused on agriculture, primarily in the Netherlands. And it was a great, great trip. In fact, some of the folks on this webinar today actually went on that trip. And so it was kind of too much to do it every year. So we wanted to plan something in the spring of 2026. Happened to be around wine and food in France and in Spain. And then I had no idea this was going on at the same time. And I thought, this is silly. Why would we, and Elizabeth Tomasino, one of my favorite faculty members, she was, leading this trip. So I thought that's silly. Let's make them one, right? And my husband Kent, who is also here today, he'll be on the trip as he was to the Netherlands in the spring of 24. We have an incredible wine industry here in Oregon. I think probably everyone on today knows that. And that's under the College of Ag Sciences. I'm a chemist, but I'm not, a phenology I'm not an expert in making wine and in growing grapes. So I'm just so excited to go on this. Both my husband and I are. I've never been to these areas of France and Spain. I'm excited to see the agriculture. I'm excited to taste the wines and eat the food. And let's not forget all of the culture that we would see. So I'm just so excited. And maybe from there, I'll hand it back.
Great.
Perfect.
Because I'm just going to go because this trip is perfect. I want to say I've never been to these areas either, but we get to, this is going to be some great wine. I also do some flavor chemistry. So you got to check out the local food, beautiful buildings. It's like the perfect combination. But let me share my screen for a sec so you can have some cool things to look at. Because I just want to talk about some of the local things, because the last time I've done some of these tours, and I think at least one or two people were with me in Italy. They know that like a few months before these tours, everyone starts getting emails from me about like, hey, there's doing the opera here, or oh, there's definitely someone that went on the street food tour with us one evening. That was a lot of fun, and we had a fried rice ball the size of my head, if I remember correctly, in Rome. But I just want to talk a little bit about what I'm excited about trying that's quite unique in these areas, particularly from food and wine, because of course main part of my job is in wine, and specifically I do wine sensory and wine chemistry. And the chemistry portion is flavor chemistry. So of course that also goes into food as well. And whenever I travel, I always want to learn what's specific to that area or something I've never had before. So I'm looking up a few things. I'm actually in the Basque area. They have two really specific drinks. And apologies if anyone speaks Basque on this webinar, because I do not, so I will probably be not pronouncing this great. But there is a specific dry wine called, white wine, Chicoli, that is specific to the area there. And I have this other picture on the right because it's apparently supposed to be poured from very high up. So it's not just about tasting the wine. We have to go somewhere where they pour it exactly where you're supposed to. And it's from a very specific grape in that area. I have never had this wine before. I've never seen it in the United States. If anyone ever has, please let me know. But I've never had that opportunity. And it is something I like to try new wines all the time and learn about them. And I know I was just talking to Kate a little bit because I'm in both locations would like to see. I know we have a wine tasting at least one of the spots, but I might be trying to organize a few more wine tastings because there's nothing like going to the winery. Most of them are gorgeous buildings, seeing the grapes and then tasting the wine right there and learning about it. So I'm excited to taste this wine. Again, never had it before. Then there's actually in that area, there's a traditional type of cider. So I have taught cider making in the past. And Spain this is not a sparkling cider. It is a still cider. It is also supposed to be poured from very high. And it's specifically from apples grown in the area there. And yeah, it's just, I've never had this one before. I actually do really like Spanish cider is not sweet like you get apple cider or Well, to be fair, Two Towns isn't sweet necessarily, but a lot of like Angry Orchard and things, they tend to be really sweet and it tends to be dry, almost more in sort of a white wine style. But it's from completely different apples than the ones we have here, and it is specific to that area. So I'm excited to try some. I'll try and pronounce it, Sagardoa. Um, and then of course, it's always about the local food. So I was telling Kate beforehand, I'm specifically looking for the two items on the right hand of the screen. So they do a range of tapas, different aspects like that. I've also provided, there's a very famous black bean stew that's there and a very famous steak from the region. But there's this sort of Basque cake that's filled with cheese. And I've had a student who's been there who told me I need to go have some of this cake. And then there's this, it's a curdled type of sheep's cheese that they drizzle honey on. And it's a speciality of the area. So I'm excited about that. And also the area we're in, amazing agriculture, not agriculture, architecture. So of course it's all about finding the place to have lunch with amazing food and a beautiful view. And they also have quite a few Michelin star restaurants in San Sebastian. So I know I'm going to be looking into a few of those as well. Because that is always, I don't do it a lot, but it's an experience to have. And there is such an amazing food culture that has come out of Spain. And then I'm going to go to Bordeaux. So this is vineyard with a church, beautiful village. They're all over the place in Bordeaux. And I'm taking this from pictures from friends who've been there. As I said, I have not been specifically to Bordeaux, but I'm very excited to be there. It is apparently picturesque everywhere. And Bordeaux is really famous for their wine. So I put up here the very famous Bordeaux blend. For those of you that might have had a wine called Claret, C-L-A-R-E-T, it's very much known in the UK. We're talking about a Bordeaux red blend for those. So it's primarily in Bordeaux. It depends on what side of the river you're in. Right bank versus left bank. We're going to see if I remember this properly, because sometimes I don't. Right bank is traditionally Cabernet Sauvignon dominated, and then you have your other grapes in the blend. And then left bank is traditionally Merlot dominated. I think I got that right. As I said, I'm not always correct on which side of the bank for those. But you have very different sort of styles and flavors that come from those red wines. You also have wineries that have been there making wine for hundreds of years. I mean, France is sort of one of the main areas that you can attest the new world wine from coming from is the historical wine grapes and wineries in Bordeaux. So it's very exciting to be there, to experience that history, to taste these wines, and of course to see beautiful things. I'm also very excited because Bordeaux, and we're going to Saint-Emilion in this trip, is the location of Sauternes. So there are other white wines in Bordeaux, but Sauternes is a very special dessert style wine. It is not made every single year, but if you see this picture on the right, you're like, those are some pretty ugly, not good grapes. That's what Sauternes is made from. It's made from grapes with noble rot on them. And in Saint-Emilion is a very specific location where the weather, you have sort of these hot, sunny days and cool but dry nights. And you get this noble rot to form. And essentially it's a mold that pricks these little holes in the grapes and causes the water to evaporate. So you get highly concentrated grapes. So lots of sugar, lots of flavor. And they make this dessert style Sauternes wine from. And I'm definitely going to be trying to get into a Sauternes winery to go in and taste. I've had a few in the United States, but it's not the same as being there. So I'm very excited to try some Sauternes and to see how it's made specifically. It is harder to make a dessert style wine. So I'm very excited about that one. It is a personal favorite of mine. And then just some delicacies from the area. I do appreciate a really good oyster. I know we, with our Astoria seafood facilities out on the coast, I work with Angie Hunt and Christina DeWitt, and we're trying to work on oysters. So they've turned me into an oyster connoisseur. And from the bay out there, there's some specific oysters. I've also put these, they're called cannelé. I believe. I know them in Italian and the pronunciation is different in France. I apologize. Little sort of pastries that you can get. And a friend also told me to be on the lookout for a very specific type of cream puff that is shaped like these sand dunes on the coast. And then I've just put a picture of, they have some very beautiful and well-known vegetables from the area, and this specific type of white asparagus is from a nearby town. So you have these amazing wines with some pretty amazing food. I think we're gonna have to walk a lot to justify all the amazing things to taste and wine to drink. So walking shoes, everyone. But yeah, that's just some of the things I'm really excited about to be able to go and see and experience and also share with everyone because I'm always more than happy when I've done these tours before. I only really lecture once, sort of introducing myself to everyone up front, and then it's all about chatting with everyone as we go and having meals with everyone and sharing whatever information they might like. And as I said, I am probably going to be trying to set up a few extra wine tastings when we have afternoons off. So yeah, I'm just really excited. It's gonna be a pretty awesome trip.
Question for you, Elizabeth.
Sure.
Um, see if my internet is start. There we go. Now it's working. So what about some parallels between some of the wines around Oregon and some of the wines that you'll be trying when you're over in that
Oh yeah.
region?
So it's really interesting if you look at Bordeaux and the Willamette Valley in Oregon. So I'm in Corvallis and we're in the South Willamette Valley, sort of up to Portland. We're actually very similar latitudes, but they grow different grapes because of the climate differences and some of the soil differences. So in Oregon, we have Pinot Noir, which as a red grape can be a little lighter style, not as astringent, um, not necessarily as heavy. Pinot Noir goes great, I think goes great with practically everything. Bordeaux blends Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, they're bigger red wines, so they can sometimes they have to age more. You noticed I showed that blend. It's a
Mhm.
famous blend. It's not a single varietal. A full 100% Cabernet Sauvignon, at least personally, can be a little overwhelming. So they blend it with some other grapes. So it's quite interesting to see that we are similar, but because of some of the slightly different differences there, you have different grapes that they grow. So that's yeah, latitude isn't everything.
Yeah, definitely. And then soils too also
Oh
make a
yeah,
difference as
and they
well.
do have different soils, and I didn't because that's like a 60-minute lecture on vineyard crews and things like that. But we can talk about that when you guys join me on the trip.
That sounds wonderful. Um, so definitely, if anybody has any questions for Elizabeth, tonight is a big Q&A session on anything that you want to ask. Feel free to ask ahead. And I put in, let's see, the Q&A box,
Oh
and I'm
wait, did I
going.
get it right about left versus right?
Oh, left versus right. I know.
Did
I
I?
I put it
Oh,
in
I
there,
did
and
it
then
backwards. Someone corrected me. Sorry, guys. Oh, I have to remember that, the alphabetical alignment. Okay. Yeah, thank
yeah.
you. I do frequently say that wrong.
I put in chat to a link to an article about the left bank versus the right bank, and there's a really nice map there
Oh,
that
yeah.
talks a little bit about it as well.
Well,
If
and years ago, it was many years ago when I was, I think in between my master's and doctorate, I did an internship with they own Chateau Angelus in Bordeaux.
mm,
And the only reason I remember that is it was in a James Bond movie, the wine.
oh,
But I
I
was just like, might have to like shoot him an email being like, hey, you don't remember me probably, but
you
loved
never
it. It was
know.
beautiful wine. Let's put it that way.
Um, so I'll go ahead. We had some questions about the actual trip. So what I'm going to do is share my screen and I'm going to share the brochure just so people have a chance to see it, where the trip is going. So that's the Bordeaux and the Basque Country tour. And the first part, as you can see, our lovely friends here pictured in the brochure, both Dean Simonich and Elizabeth here will hopefully be part of the trip. The trip itself has a maximum of 28 travelers that can go on the tour, but we need 15 travelers for Elizabeth to join us, and we're just a few short of that now. So hopefully we'll get a couple more for her to be able to join us on the trip. And as you can see, there's a whole bunch of really great highlights that you'll have. And yes, someone had a question about trying famous oysters, and the answer is yes, you get to try the famous oysters and cruising the
Oh, and
bay.
actually, Kate, I'm going to interrupt you. La
Yes.
Cité du Vin is like amazing. I've had friends tell me like you have to go there
Okay, say
as a
that one
wine
more
person.
time.
La
This
Cité
right.
du Vin. It's a big museum about wine.
Okay, great. Your French is way better than mine.
Well, I can pronounce it slightly. I don't really speak it.
Yes. And the trip is it's about, I'm trying to think how many days. I think it was about 10 days in total on the tour. And there's a really nice mix of activities, some walking tours mixed in with it, some free time as well. And then always on the excursions, you have a little bit of a choice to do what you want within your day. And on those free times, like day 5 right here, you can free time to do what you want in Bordeaux region. Those maybe some of those other great wine tastings that you visit with Elizabeth, or if there's a couple restaurants that you want to go visit, there's you have your options. So this is a wonderful trip where you get to have some of that free time mixed in. Another key part about this tour is that you have 2 hotel stays, which is wonderful because some people don't like moving around on a lot of different hotel nights. And some people don't mind it at all. But on this trip, there's 2 hotels. So one is, and I have it here on the last page here. One is in Bordeaux. You'll stay at the hotel, and then another one in San Sebastian. So that's nice. So you just have to unpack a couple times for it. And then, yep, you've got majority of your meals, but you do have your dinners. There's a few dinners that are on your own. So you'll get to be able to do a bit there. Um, and oh, one of our guests, Lori, said that they really enjoyed your presentation that you did, Elizabeth, in the San Francisco Bay Area before COVID. Um, yeah, so that was, pre-COVID days, if you can remember those.
Oh, she had
Um,
a great suggestion. Yeah. I mean, I'd be more than happy to try for another, God, that was ages ago, virtual wine tasting in March.
yes,
We can talk about
yeah,
it. We can
yeah.
work that
Well,
out.
we want to do another virtual wine tasting. We did.
Yeah.
There is one virtual wine tasting that Elizabeth did with us that's in our archives. But if you want to do another one, that'd be wonderful.
Write that down and shoot me an email, Kate. We'll work it out.
Okay. Yes. So do you have like just a couple tips of French wines for virtual wine tasting that you could think of off the cuff?
Um, oh, French wine. Tips for drinking French wine. Oh, that one's tricky. Because you
Yeah.
actually kind of have to aerate them a little bit, particularly if it's old. Like you have to wait, open it, pour it, wait a little bit. And then I
Yeah.
actually like to, it's perfect. We'll be in Bordeaux. You need to eat a little cheese because sometimes it's really astringent or like mouth drying or sandpapery. It's supposed to be that way, guys. But sometimes that can be a
Ah,
lot. So it's like you have a little cheese with your red wine and you enjoy
mm,
that.
nice. Well,
Um,
that's good to
and
know.
then I should say also, I saw it on there. I forgot to mention it. I have been to the Rioja, so I do know quite a bit about
Oh,
Rioja
good.
wine there at the end.
Oh,
Um, and
wonderful.
that's quite it's very different from Bordeaux red wine. Very different.
How is it different?
Well, it's made primarily from Tempranillo.
Hmm.
About 90%. A lot of the places in the Rio, it's 100%. And Tempranillo doesn't have a lot of astringency. It is a very acidic red wine. So it's sour
Hmm.
compared to
Okay.
what you get in Bordeaux. It's also not Bordeaux can be very purple,
Hmm.
and Rioja, particularly the 100% Tempranillo, is red.
Okay.
And you might be like, they're both red wine. It's like, no, one's more purple and one's
One's more
really
purple than
red.
the other one. So if a wine is more acidic, what types of foods do you think would pair well with an acidic wine? Is there like a
Um, Actually, a lot of times with some more fatty foods.
fatty
So
foods?
like I always give you should have sparkling wine with potato chips, and part of that is because sparkling wine is really acidic. Or
Oh,
like a nice cheese. That's why I was mentioning cheese also. Acid helps to soften the acidity. Um, I mean, all those sort of tapas based things, like the food you have in that area is meant to go with the wine that they make. It's kind
okay.
of, it makes your job really easy. because it's
Yeah.
like we don't have to work that hard.
And I always like I actually have one of our fellow travelers is on this talk tonight, and she taught me a trick. She said when you go to these regions, so this is our friend Julie's trick, and you like to buy things and shopping, they do sell these bubble wrapped bags that you can
Oh,
purchase.
yeah, we can
Yes.
talk about transporting
Yeah.
wine. I have a special suitcase, guys, that will probably be coming with me.
I always tell everyone just to ship it. Don't even
Well,
bother.
it depends. Like personally, you got to get at least 6 bottles to ship it. Shipping can be expensive, but there are ways
Yeah.
you can get it in checked luggage, and I can certainly send out many options for people.
Yeah.
I
That's
do
so
know.
that's that's when you're willing to buy that extra bag,
Oh,
huh?
well,
So we have another suggestion from one of our listeners, Christy. She said, somebody feed Phil. There's an episode on San Sebastian on season 8, episode 2, titled The Basque Country of Spain. So if you want to check out all the food culture of that region, then you'll want to watch it on Netflix. That's a great suggestion. Thank you,
And I'm
Christy.
trying to remember, isn't that area that there was that big El Bulli food revolution came from Spain? Was it the coast over there? Am I thinking a different? I should Google this while we're chatting. Like
That I
there's a
don't know.
famous food movement that came out of Spain, guys, but I don't remember which area it's from.
So that's a good question.
Hold on.
Who's gonna be the fastest Googler?
Oh, where's Roses, Spain? I don't know where that is. Oh no, I think it's nope, never mind. Different spot. Sorry, everyone. We'll have to
All
do
right,
another tour in the other side of Spain. Anyway.
great. All right, and then besides food and wine on this tour, what are some of the other highlights? So it's the whole area. The Basque region of Spain and France is very unique, culturally unique. The people of the Basque region are really consider themselves Basque. So they don't consider themselves Spanish and they don't consider themselves French, but they consider themselves Basque. And there is that their own language as well. So you'll get all sorts of history and information about the region itself. And then the landscape and the food and then the museums that are there as well. So it's more than just food and wine, but also the all the other areas too. Um, there is a multi-day pilgrimage hike to this part of Spain. Are you thinking of the Camino de Santiago? It might go through that region, but I'm not sure. Oh yes, it is the Camino de Santiago. So yeah, it probably does go through that region. Um,
And isn't the coastline is supposed to be spectacular right there?
Yes, and that's this trip does hit some parts of the coastline too. You're when you're in that bay, and San Sebastian is on the coast, and then a bunch of the cities are just right there on that coastline. So you will get a chance to see that coastline as well on the tour, um, and then in
I
this
will say
particular
about
bay.
Bordeaux, it is literally vineyards.
Yeah,
But the towns themselves are very historic. So you do have the old churches and, walking through medieval or even earlier.
and earlier, yeah, that is very true. And then oh, I just lost my thought, but yeah, so all of it is on that it's included on it. Uh, great. Well, if the Camino de Santiago, since Scott, you just wrote that down, that is another tour that we've been thinking about offering. So you let me know if you think that is something that you may want to do someday, because it's one that I've been thinking about over time. To offer the Camino Santiago. We wouldn't necessarily spend the night on the trail. We would spend the night in hotels, but it definitely is an option. Um, absolutely. All right, Scott, I'm gonna mark your name down. That sounds wonderful. Well, this is great. Well, then let's see if we have Stacy. If you want to join us again to see if there's anything else that you would like to add about the trip or about going on the tour, or maybe some of the cool things that you did on your last teens trip that you might like to see again. But remember to unmute.
As a fellow traveler on this trip and participant, I'm excited with all the things I've just learned. And I'm hungry and I could use a glass of wine. Um, anyway, yes, I'm just so grateful to learn more. I need to get some guidebooks and be reading up a little bit more too on it. Um, I think and Dave Stone, who's here, also did an incredible job planning our last Dean's trip. And I think we did something similar like to this to describe it in our trip to the Netherlands. And really enjoyed it, but he made us work pretty hard. I think, every day had, pretty intense, 3 different things or more. And, it was very good. It was enjoyable. We were tired by the end, but we had great food and we had great places to visit. But this one I think might be a little bit more relaxing and Elizabeth style of, the food and the wines and the stroll and the walk and
Yeah,
and I really also really like that there'll be options to explore on our own also. So I think it's going to be the right combination. Technically, it will be work for me, but I think it'll be pretty fun, relaxing work too. But I'm looking
true.
forward actually to getting to know some new alums and others on this trip. On our Dean's trip, it was primarily College of Ag Science alums and donors. But in this case, I like this idea of traveling with even a broader group and getting to know people maybe other beeves we didn't know from before.
That's
So,
true. Yeah.
Well, and I'll
And
add on to that,
oh,
Stacy, because when my Italy trips, still do keep in touch with a few people, had so many fun conversations, and just meeting everyone. It made it a lot of fun, and I did get to. There was a dinner. I nerded out. He was a chemical engineer. We had a lot of fun that dinner. Everyone else looked at us weird, but we got our chemistry on.
that's funny. Well, then, as a reminder too, on these trips, that there are other experts that join along the way. So when you're at different museums, or you're at a winemaker's house, or you're, whatever the stop might be along the way, they bring in additional guides and additional education. So you get this worldly view of the region from a lot of different voices. Which is really nice as well. And I see Dave, you popped on. Dave, do you want to say hello and let everybody know just what you do and your role at the college, and a little bit about what the trip and what you're thinking about?
Sure. Thanks, Kate. So hello, everybody. Thanks for joining in the interest. So as Stacy mentioned, this is the second time we will be running these. Unfortunately, I won't be going on this one, but I really am excited for everybody because it just looks amazing. I think it is going to be much more, as Stacy also mentioned, slower paced, but still a lot of behind the scenes things that are exclusive and you just can't do on your own. And of course, you'll be surrounded by experts. So, and I see some of the comments in the chat too. Part of the beauty of this trip is just also networking among and the friendships among the group that goes. So again, it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful time of year, a beautiful place on the planet. I'm jealous.
Yeah, you're jealous. And then we did have one, if I'm going to put you on the spot, Elizabeth. Sean on the call does want to hear a little bit about the Bordeaux soil.
Okay.
Is there a little bit of the
I can
Bordeaux
do it. I can
soil?
do it. I can do it.
Okay.
So first off, the big thing in Bordeaux and lots of places in France, for those of you that might have gone to wineries here, they talk about the Willamette Valley, which is an American viticultural area. And well, we're not still sure who decided that was the exact border, but there's a lot that goes into that. But
Yeah.
like you look at estate wine, premium wine, it's about the wine. Specifically in Bordeaux, they talk about cru, and that is related to the vineyard specifically. And a lot of it is based off soil maps. So, and we'll see if anyone can correct me because this is going to be a left bank, right bank thing again. The left bank is more clay dominated. So that's why that's specific. And we actually have a lot of clay out here. They have some other things in there. But the other side of the river is sandier potentially. Um, yeah. One's sandy and one's more clay. I can definitely confirm that. Don't remember if it's left or right. I think the left is clay and the right is sand. But think about that. You have different water holding capacity. Um,
Actually, it's the other way around. The right bank is known for Merlot dominant blends
okay.
and clay and limestone soils. and the softer, fruitier wines.
Okay. Well, it still works. We're just not going to
Yes.
name the banks anymore. We're
Yeah.
going to talk about the soil. um, and sort of the I'm trying to think about it. Sort of clay and limestone, yes, for the Merlot, because that soil holds a little more heat around the vines, whereas in the other soil, there's much better drainage. It's cooler, so it dominates Cabernet Sauvignon. And then you will get different quality levels within the vineyard itself. And the vineyards are also based on slope. So a slope is very important for air drainage and quality of the grape. So the sloped vineyards would have a higher cru than something on the valley floor. Not saying the valley floor is bad, it's just different from that. But so when you look at the wine bottles and it talks about Grand Cru and this cru, and there's a whole list of those, it's really referring to those vineyards, and it's quite something to go see. Like you can see it in the soil. It's like, yes,
Oh,
that's
that's cool.
very different. And then you'll get the very different flavors and characteristics from that wine. And that's what people really talk about, the concept of terroir that really did evolve from France, because they do try and keep, and again, this is a choice. They actually do this in the Willamette Valley as well, a terroir driven product. So showcasing from the land. So a lot of time that's on the label versus so my family grew up with Carlo Rossi. That's what my grandfather drank. That's not about where it came from. That's about having a
No.
very specific, the same wine every single year. It's a different group of people you're looking for. So in France, they're very about terroir of that product. And showcasing that. And that is where sort of actually France and parts of Europe are really where that aspect came from, that we now embrace in many different aspects.
Yeah, and one key thing too about a lot of wineries in France and in Spain is that they're limited production.
Yes.
So they're small. A lot of times they're small family-owned wineries. And so when you're going and you're visiting, if you're trying a wine and you really like it, you won't get it in the States for the most
Yeah.
part. So you are going to have to bring a
And the
second
prices will
suitcase.
be better in France and Spain. So
Yes.
I was just in Italy. The prices were phenomenal.
Yeah, the prices are much better. You can get a very, very good wine for $5
Oh, yes.
in France and Spain. So it's like a very good wine. So there are more limited productions. There's, smaller amounts available. The
Though
prices are smaller.
Bordeaux in particular, I know I will be looking into it. Sometimes they have very special tastings because you might not be able to purchase a Bordeaux wine. They actually sell, it's called Bordeaux Futures. So like this year they'll be picking grapes and making wine. You can't drink that wine for years from now. They don't wait until the wine is available. You can, like, the demand is so high that you can
Wow.
purchase your future now and you'll get it later. So it's not necessarily even available at the very famous places. So
Huh.
sometimes that's why I'm sort of like, we have to go taste Sauternes because I may never have the opportunity to purchase that
Right.
Sauternes. So
So hopefully that purchase price comes with the ability to ship it.
I know, right?
Yeah. That is very,
But
very
but
true.
yeah, I do also want to say you're really right. I drink house wines a lot in Europe at restaurants because they're phenomenal. They're
Mhm.
so good.
My other favorite thing to do is to go into the grocery stores. And when you
Yes.
go into the grocery stores, just to look at all the different wine labels and all the different bottles and also for olive oil too. Like to do both whenever I'm in Europe is to look at the olive oils and look at the wines. And there you'd be surprised in some of the fun things that you'll find over there.
Just going into the grocery stores are fun. Well, I'm trying to think. It's a little bit of a, you can only have a little bit. It's rich, but I might need to get a little foie gras, just a little bit of
Oh,
wine, a little foie
yeah,
gras
yeah,
in
yeah.
the area.
After dinner. What if when you're in this area, is there a good after dinner wine?
That's what Sauternes is.
It is what Sauternes. Okay,
It's a
sorry, I missed
dessert
that.
wine,
It's a dessert.
and you only
Yeah,
drink a little bit. Again, it's super special wine.
super special wine. Nice.
And it's specifically, you can only get Sauternes. Like it's part of that protected denomination. You can only get it from the Sauternes region in Sauternes. Like you can only get a Bordeaux, a true Bordeaux in Bordeaux. You can get a wine in the US that has a name and says this is a Bordeaux blend on the back,
Right.
but it has to come from Bordeaux to be Bordeaux.
Just like champagne has to
Yes.
come from
Well, and the
champagne too.
same thing with the I'm totally blanking on what I called Chacoli, the wine from the Basque region. That's a similar thing. You can only get it there.
So Sean was wondering what makes Grand Cru?
Okay, give me one sec. There's a Premier Cru, there's a Grand Cru. I have to look up the cru classifications.
And then while you're thinking about that, Lori was wondering is it really the grape that's more important or the terroir that's more important?
Well, now that's a very long debated argument
Well,
that people have.
you can debate that on the tour because Lori's going.
Oh, well, we can have quite a chat about that. Okay, so the big cru classes are Premier Cru and Grand Cru. It looks like, oh, I've got the official Vin du Bordeaux website. Hang on. It takes a lot of years to get a cru classification. Like you can't just make a great wine one year. There's a big process because I've met a few winemakers that were telling me about it. The first cru, oh wow, 1855.
Oh,
So I mean that's going back there for what's the big difference here though? Man, I don't remember the big difference between Premier and Grand. It's too specifically, I'd have to look up. It's in French. I can't read it fast enough to like
okay.
it takes me a long time to read French.
Well, great.
But I do know quite a bit of it comes down to the soil, the
Soil.
soil and the drainage, and that aspect.
Great. Well, this is great. Well, I think what we'll do is just call it a night for tonight and want to thank everyone for joining us. And Dave, thank you too for popping on as well. And thank you very much, Dean Simonich, for joining us. And I'm so excited that you have chosen this trip and have decided to go on the tour. Anyone who does join it is going to be lucky to travel with all you. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And then, yeah, we will talk to Elizabeth about doing another wine tasting online. We did red wine once before, so maybe we'll have to do a white wine tasting
Well,
or
but we
bring
could
it
try
back.
a little, I don't know if we can get Bordeaux, but we could find a Bordeaux blend that to like
Oh,
warm us up to going.
that would be great. Warm us up for the trip. I love it.
Because
All
I
right,
could, yeah,
well,
I'll do before and find a few options for people
few
so they
options.
can get them where they are.
That's a great idea. Well, great. And just a reminder for everyone that we are on the website at fororegonstate.org/travel. All of our trips are there as well, and the recordings of these talks. Yes, we're on Facebook, so if you would like to chat there, we're there. And that'll be it for tonight. So thank you all. Thank you very much for everyone joining us. And if you have any other questions about the trip, feel free to send us a note and we'll happy to answer them. Have a good evening. Good night.